Let's get into it. Sold Not For Sale podcast. Coach Colin here. The U.S. is definitely leaving NATO. That's just what I think. I think it's been a long time coming. Trump has always been on them. You're delinquent. You're not paying. If they're not going to pay, why are we defending them? They owe so much money, and we're the only ones paying. I just want things to be fair. He's been saying that since the day he got into office. I think even before that, you can see clips of him in the 90s talking about NATO. And now he has a cabinet that's actually on board with it, and the world is starting to really look at NATO and say, why are we a part of NATO? Listen to Pete Hegseth and what he had to say about it. Then I'll show you Trump. Then I'll show you Elon. Then I'll show you J.D. Vance. Let's go.
Well, like President Eisenhower, this administration...
Of course, I have it on double speed. Listen, right now for me, it's 1:30 in the morning, okay? All right? I've taken cordyceps and lion's mane. I'm wired on medicinal mushrooms, okay? Of course, it's on double speed.
Well, like President Eisenhower, this administration believes in alliances, deeply believes in alliances. But make no mistake, President Trump will not allow anyone to turn Uncle Sam into Uncle Sucker. Thank you, and we're glad to take some questions.
Did you hear the crowd? The crowd was like, hold on. Listen to that. Listen.
Thank you, and we're glad to take some questions.
Listen.
Into Uncle Sucker. Thank you, and we're glad to take some questions. Well, like President...
He said this at the NATO summit. Look at the sign behind him. He's in front of NATO saying this. They're not playing around anymore. And Trump had to say this while he was taking questions when he was asked about NATO.
Yesterday, maybe you did, I don't know. But if you would have seen them, the way they spoke about their captivity, it was unbelievable. It's terrible.
Are you thinking about making any changes to NATO where a NATO country gets attacked, but they're not paying enough dues, so the United States doesn't defend them?
Well, I've said that to them. I said, if you're not going to pay, we're not going to defend. I said that 7 years ago. And because of that, they paid hundreds of billions of dollars. I said, if you're not going to pay your bills, we're not going to defend you. And it also went for the attack. But if they got attacked, they said, well, does that mean you won't defend us? I said, are you current or are you delinquent? They said, if we were delinquent, would you? I said, nope, I would not. And because of that, as you know, hundreds of billions of dollars came into NATO. You wouldn't have NATO right now if I weren't there. And your previous Secretary General has said that. He said he's never seen anything like it. When I came to NATO, when I first had my first meeting, I noticed that people weren't paying their bills at all. And I said I should wait till my second meeting, and I did. And I brought that up. And I said, if you don't pay your bills, we're not going to participate. We're not going to protect you. And when I said that, as soon as I said that, it was amazing how the money came in. The money came in, and now they have money. But even now, it's not enough. It's really not enough. They should be paying more.
Mr. President, question on the investment, sir. You've overseen about $2 trillion worth of domestic private sector investments come in just about 2 months. This is the newest one. It comes after your announcement of a new shipbuilding office at the White House during your joint session to Congress. Can you talk about why this is important, not only for national security, but to continue the renaissance of domestic manufacturing?
If you don't mind, I'm just going to jump right back to the NATO stuff, okay? Because that's what the video's about, all right? Let me just jump back over here.
Start coming off quickly when this all comes around. Look, we've been supporting the whole world. You mentioned NATO and you mentioned other things. We've been supporting the whole world. When I first came in, we were paying almost 100% of NATO. NATO it was crazy. We were supporting NATO. We were paying the bills for other countries. And yet those same countries, mostly European, the European countries were ripping us off in trade. They won't take our cars. They wouldn't take our agricultural product. They wouldn't take anything. Yet we were taking their cars by the millions, Mercedes and BMW and Volkswagen, all of them. We were taking their cars, they weren't taking it. We were taking their farm products, they weren't taking ours. It was a total ripoff, and yet we were protecting them by giving them the money. And, that adds up to a bad a bad number at the end of a lot of years, and that's what happened. And now it's time for this country to stop being ripped off. I had that done very much in the first administration, but then we had to focus on other things at the very end with COVID. But we had the greatest economy in history. We had the greatest economy in history. I think we're going to redo it here, but even better. And I wanted to do what we're doing now in the first term, but we had so many other things to do. We had to fix the border, which we did. We had to fix our military. We rebuilt our military. We completely rebuilt the military, only to watch Biden give so much of it away to Afghanistan, if you can believe it. It's not even believable. It's not even believable what he did. The damage that that man did or that administration did to this country is frankly not even believable. And in particular, allowing millions and millions of people to come into our country. Many of them were murderers and drug dealers and gang members and people from prison for very heinous crimes. For him to allow those people into our country, and now we're spending tremendous amounts of time and effort. Nikki and Tom Homan, who's doing an unbelievable job, but we shouldn't have to be spending anything on that. We had the safest border ever. Now we have actually, as you saw, the numbers just came out, where we have actually the lowest numbers in the history of our country. But we shouldn't have had to do that. What we're doing now is we're looking for murderers. Can you believe it? We're looking for murderers because thousands of murderers, some about 50%, killed more than one person. One killed 5 or 7. And we're looking for those people right now. We shouldn't have to be looking for
President Trump, on Peter's question, are you going to make that policy, U.S. policy, that the U.S. wouldn't defend NATO countries that don't pay?
Well, I think it's common sense, right? If they don't pay, I'm not going to defend them. No, I'm not going to defend them. I got into a lot of heat when I said that. You said, oh, he's violating NATO. And, you know, the biggest problem I have with NATO, I really, I know the guys very well. They're friends of mine. But if the United States was in trouble and we called them, we said, we got a problem, France. We got a problem, a couple of others I won't mention. Do you think they're going to come and protect us? They're supposed to. I'm not so sure. So with Japan, we have a deal, which is a very interesting one. And I love Japan. We have a great relationship with Japan. But we have an interesting deal with Japan that we have to protect them, but they don't have to protect us. Do you know that? That's the way the deal reads. We have to protect Japan. And by the way, they make a fortune with us economically. There's another case. But we have to protect Japan. But under no circumstances do they have to protect us. I actually ask, who makes these deals? Yeah, Peter?
Well, so why stay in NATO at all?
I view NATO as potentially good, but you gotta get some good thinking in NATO. It's very unfair what's been happening. Until I came along, we were paying close to 100% of NATO. So think of it. We're paying 100% of their military, and they're screwing us on trade.
And when Zelensky inevitably comes back to the White House, what do you expect from him? And do you think you'll see him in a necktie?
Well, I think what's going to happen is Ukraine wants to make a deal because I don't think they have a choice. I also think that Russia wants to make a deal because in a different way that only I know, they have no choice either.
He is gangster. This guy's the best. This guy's the best. I let that run a little long because I didn't actually hear that part. Then, in a way that only I know, you have to understand, I threaten Putin every time I talk to him. They call me a puppet, but they don't hear the threats I make. I mean, I send him pictures of his own bathroom. I do it all the time. All the time I say, here's a picture of your bathroom. Looks very nice. You're low on toilet paper, Vladimir. Man, but yeah, I think the U.S. is gonna leave NATO, man. I mean, Trump's saying that he sees good in it, but he's right. I mean, it even sounds funny to say. if America calls up France and says, we got a problem, France is going to be like, oh, we're going to be over there right now. Baguettes in hand. I don't know about all that, man. UK, we have a problem. UK has its own problems. UK is going to be like, I'm very sorry, mate. We're so busy here. We're just packing the prisons with people making Facebook posts. We just don't have the time or resources. We've called the National Guard on our citizens to take away their cell phones. Sorry, mate. That's going to be, I think he's right. And the fact that he even has that inkling that if we were in trouble, if America was in trouble, would they come and help? And I don't know. I think he's right. I think the answer is not really, and they're not paying, and this whole thing's been uneven for so long. And I think the good thinking that he's talking about is the US having more control than maybe it already does have. Maybe then it would make sense. But right now it seems like America stacks up all this military. They don't pay anything, and it's just this deal. Yeah, like America, it's a class project. America's doing all the work, and Europe's just like, yeah, just what part do you want me to read? I'll read that part. And America's bringing in an A, and the rest of the world is like, the rest of Europe is just like, I want an A too. It's getting to the point, and here's also the reason why I think they're gonna leave. Because when Trump's administration starts echoing the same type of stuff, you start to see, like J.D. Vance said this a while ago, and he echoed this when he was doing his speech recently when he was in Munich. Listen to this.
The leader, I forget exactly which official it was within the European Union, but sent Elon this threatening letter that basically said, we're going to arrest you if you platform Donald Trump, who, by the way, is the likely next president of the United States. So what America should be saying is, if NATO wants us to continue supporting them, and NATO wants us to continue to be a good participant in this military alliance, why don't you respect American values and respect free speech? It's insane that we would support a military alliance if that military alliance isn't going to be pro-free speech. I think we can do both, but we've got to say American power comes with certain strings attached. One of those is respect free speech, especially in our European allies. Like, look, I'm not going to go to some backwoods country and tell them how to live their lives, but European countries should theoretically share American values, especially about some very basic things like free speech. The leader...
So this is JD saying, if you don't share the values, and again, just recently in Munich, he was saying the same thing. He's like, we're seeing you guys, we got Ukraine not holding elections. We got Germany arresting people for social media posts. UK's doing the same. We're just seeing a lot, France, what the president of France has done time and time again to his people, and they have to protest in mass numbers, and the attacks they get from their own army is just crazy. So JD went over there to straighten some things out, to let him know, hey, like, he was saying basically the same thing he had to say here. There are some strings. We're expecting you to at least have the same values as us. And as they keep showing, because they're not going to backtrack everything they're doing, the UK's not going to suddenly stop doing what they're doing. Same with Germany. Same with all of them. They're not going to suddenly stop. Right? So I think it's going to come to a point where they're going to go, okay, the values are too different. We're paying too much money. This just doesn't make sense anymore. And in fact, we've had these peace talks with Russia, and we came to a term for them in Ukraine, and I don't know. We don't seem like we need this anymore. And here's what I think is going to happen. I think Trump is going to make something that's akin to BRICS. BRICS is, what is that? Brazil, Russia, India. What's the C? I don't know. And then the S is Saudi Arabia. What's the C? Is it Canada? Oh, God, I hope not. Let me check. Hold on a second. Hold on. Let me just check real quick. Stand for Let's all look at this in real time here. China. Obviously China. Sorry, guys. Does it stand for Canada? These guys wouldn't let Canada in. Canada would be like, "Can I be the C, please?" And they'd be like, "Sorry, Canada, we got a C already, buddy. Okay, I don't know. Sorry, you can't come in. No Canada's here, sir." So yeah, China. Oh, and the S is South Africa. Oh man, 2 mistakes there. My bad. So I think that Trump might move away from NATO and make something like this of his own. And it might consist of Japan, since there's a real close relationship there. Probably not Taiwan, but that relationship is getting better. Maybe it'll be like Poland or Hungary. The leaders of Hungary really love Trump. There's a lot of different options. Maybe it'll consist of Canada, because Canada will get absorbed or will at least be close to it, especially since China put a 100% retaliatory tariff on Canada recently, which is tightening the squeeze towards it becoming the 51st state. Fingers crossed. Let's do this. But yeah, I think that's what Trump might do. And again, back to his own cabinet echoing his same sentiments. Elon Musk doing the same thing. Elon Musk calls on U.S. to quit NATO, stop paying for the defense of Europe, 100%. And I saw this post and I was like, is this true? I just asked this like a second ago because I wanted to verify if it was true. And I realized on X, you can just ask Grok. You can just say, Grok, is this true? And then Grok comes through and says, yes, Elon Musk did say this on March 9th, 2025. So just today he said this. He posted on X that it doesn't make sense for America to pay for Europe's defense, backing a U.S. exit from NATO. He's been vocal about this for a while, even questioning NATO's purpose back in March 2024 since the Soviet Union dissolved. Check Bloomberg and Newsweek for more. So we're seeing Pete Hegseth, Trump loyalist. He's going to do exactly what the president asks of him. You're seeing J.D. Vance saying this. You're seeing Elon Musk saying this. It might happen. It might happen, and it might happen soon. So I think that you can expect something along those lines, because Trump's not playing anymore. He's making power moves. When he says he wants America to win, he's not talking about small wins. He's talking about capital W's all day.